Okay, the camera is still rolling, man. You wanted to rant about something else, I think.
No, I'm just going to say, let's get this discussion about VI versus Emacs
versus Joe versus Nano versus Pico versus VI improved versus whatever.
Okay, let's ask ourselves, what is a text editor on Linux?
For me, for the first almost 20 years of my using any kind of Unix, it was Joe. Simple to use tool that is able to move across your file from left to right, from top to down without entering any kind of advanced modes. And that was pretty straightforward for copy pasting without yanking and pasting and whatnot. So simple to use tool to edit text. That's text editor for me.
And this is the same for me. So my biggest gripe that I have right now is that we are basically regressing. People are talking VI versus Emacs.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are much better editors that have come and gone, unfortunately, and we are stuck with Nano as a default editor for the guys who don't want to do the VI. Emacs needs to be installed, and it's pretty much right now it's can be compared to installation of Windows 10 by the size of it in the number of plugins available. Yes,
Professor, I'd like to add a word. In my life, I've only used Emacs once, and I hated every single second of it, and it was in 1996, 27 years ago.
I have used Emacs, and I see what it is able to do.
Yeah, I know what it's able to do, but it sucked then, and it sucks now.
I don't think it sucks. The problem is that I just think that if you want to do editing of usual, normal configuration files in Linux,
okay,
you need something that is going to run quickly, that is going to be small, and that you're going to basically use 2 or 3 commands and a little bit navigation through the file.
Okay.
So I want something that is visual. I want my page up and page down to do the page up and page down thing, not to randomly jump around in the file. I don't want to have different, completely blind functions that you need to turn on by pressing incantations on the keyboard.
No. And that you need to manual for them.
Yes, this is the one thing. And the other thing is that Emacs is basically, they say that you can do anything with the keyboard. Yes, but I don't want to go on a course for typing to be able to exit the editor. It's even worse than VI.
Yes, I know. That's exactly the reason why I said that I dislike it so much, but I have a deeper reason. If you remember, in the good old days when we started using all of the Unix OSs, which was basically 1994, 5, 6, because there's a couple of years of age difference between us. You started a little bit earlier than me. Do you remember how Emacs worked then? We're talking about a completely different thing, because Emacs then was used for everything, not just for file editing. It was Emacs editing, Emacs read the news, Emacs email, Emacs this, Emacs that.
It's the same now.
Now, but yes, I know, I'm aware of that fact, but people don't use it that way. But back then, it was almost the only application that was capable of doing that, and people were kind of forced to use it in a sense, because the other apps were much worse. If you remember the tin program in CLI for reading news, that was not very good. If you remember the first versions of Elm and Pine for mail in text mode, that was not all that good.
Okay, first versions of okay, mail was the first one that I had to use.
Mm-hmm.
It was a disaster. Basically, it was Erlin for mail.
Yeah.
After that, I said, okay, I'm going to switch over to using Pine, Elm first and then Pine.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at it from a perspective of 30 years,
mm-hmm.
If I think that Pine was a great way to read the news and mails,
mm-hmm.
I now know how big of a problem we had back there. But
I agree.
It was that. It was that. What I'm actually missing right now is something akin to screen.
Okay. that might be a topic for one other, let's say a full podcast episode. I think. Reason being that my life in Linux nowadays is impossible on a day-to-day basis without Screen. Screen is one of the first packages that I always install. But let's stick to editors.
Okay, so when you're talking about the editors, for some reason or the other, we are comparing Emacs, that is basically Bloatware now, and the Bloatware that is trying to pass on as something that is sleek and nice and small. We are talking about VI, or VI improved, or next generation VI, however it's called. That is basically the same reiteration, the same editor that we had, 40 years ago. And it is based on some assumptions that I'm completely fine with. But if you take a look at it, Joe or Nano is able to run on Windows in a window, and it is going to make sense. VI doesn't make sense in a window.
Okay, I agree with that as well. I tried.
As soon as we got normal terminals, we should have gone and moved on from the VI way of doing things. So VI paradigm or whatever, however you call it. And we should have moved to something that is more useful when you have screens. Because the screen is, the reason why I mentioned the screen was the key thing. When you got ncurses and we got the ability to actually talk to the terminal and be able to position the cursor on the terminal, this should have been the end of VIM. And right now, the idea that Red Hat has removed Joe from the
They removed it in Red
packages.
Hat 6, just so you know.
Yeah, so, but the idea that it has been removed and VI is being kept makes no sense to me.
Okay,
Because
actually there's worse. In GUI, in Red Hat and CentOS for the past, 3, 4, 5 versions, we have the basically the GNOME version of Notepad, which is...
Okay, gedit.
Yeah, gedit is, I don't know how to call this, but for me it's one of the worst applications to edit text that ever existed.
Okay, I can see where this is coming from, because they wanted to fill the niche of people who don't know better, but this is the thing that I'm completely this is completely understandable for me, because it's part of the GNOME package. It's one of the packages that's installed the most, so basically it's easy to decide to do it. But leaving in Nano and moving Joe out of the normal set of packages that are standardly installed is something that I cannot completely understand.
Okay, well, we can extend that to something else that's outside of the topic. You can say the same about the Telnet client in Windows and Linux. The person who thought that that's a good idea to be removed as a default installation option in Linux should actually, he needs to go home and rethink his life.
I'm to be completely honest with you, I don't understand the idea of, when we are talking about different operating systems, not having a Telnet client anywhere. It's just completely off the scale. Removing ping in order to and traceroute, not including curl or wget in Windows. Because they are completely POSIX compliant. I don't see the reason why they shouldn't be there, because curl is amazing in the terminal line. And the last thing that I actually hate is Microsoft completely misunderstanding the idea of package management, and then
they're working on that actually, and it's getting better, to my continuous surprise. But let's leave that topic out. I think that we should do an episode about that and actually check what's possible, because it's changed a little bit in the past 3 to 6 months.
I have seen that they have done a lot of things in this regard when they did Windows Terminal. So Windows Terminal makes sense. And Scott Hanselman, who is doing the heavy lifting of trying to promote it, I think that Windows Terminal is a good thing. But at the same time, if they decided to go the open source way, and they decided they're going to include open source like things in Linux or in Windows, I think that they should have gone with curl and wget from the start, because these are the utilities that you actually need in Windows.
I have actually.
Windows needs.
Yeah. I'm completely with you. I agree. I have a little bit of a different disposition to that. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't. But there is a positive side of that. That there is a positive, let's say, conclusion from all of those things that we just discussed, which are both good and bad, and let's say mistimed and whatever. And curses was actually really on point. That's like hitting it on in the middle. But the reason why I'm saying this is all of that inactivity in terms of making sure that an operating system has a good editor, which is mandatory thing for system engineer and for programmer, while we're talking about that as well, led to the development of some applications like UltraEdit and Notepad++, which are actually very good editors. So I would kind of like look at it from a positive way, as kind of like from a, let's say, a little bit more positive attitude, if I were to do that. But generally speaking, for me, the day when Red Hat removed Joe from standard set of applications, I was very, very, very pissed off, because both you and I are, variable editor in Linux bash RC is always set to user bin Joe.
Yes, this is something that that is bothering me, because I see this as people overcoming the idea of a useful editor by removing something they're not happy with, because Joe is probably as divisive as the Emacs and VI are. Because people either hate Joe or like Joe. And basically, I think that they just left the nano in because they wanted to say, okay, we have a visual editor, what do you want?
Yep.
So I think that this is the reason why we are at this point in the Linux terminal. But to be completely honest, it's 2023. Why are we even thinking about what are the problems in the terminal, other than we can install everything that we want, so we basically shouldn't be caring. What I would like to see, was a package of settings for my terminal that is auto-installed.
That's
so
okay.
Basically, I want my terminal profile to be able to be moved around and install all the packages that I need. Not only the variables that I need, because this can be done for the last 50 years or so, but I want my packages. So basically, I want intelligent package management that is able to say, okay, this user actually requires these packages to when he logs in.
Okay.
So I want them to be auto-installed, if possible.
Okay. You know what I want right now?
No.
Escape double dot double right qit and then exclamation mark.
So Shift ZZ.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's
so
actually that was metaphor for two things. The end of this short clip, and actually it was the metaphor for how VI is messed up.
It has its own high points. Yes.
And low points.
So Shift ZZ, see you.
Yeah. Shift ZZ, see you. Bye.
Bye.